Hey, converted man here. Well, DanielApologetics has this video talking about cross or words in the sky proving God is refuted. And I watched the video, and yeah, if the argument was what he stated, then he did refute it. But I think that he kind of is doing a straw man ish version of the problem. And I don't really think he's really addressing the point that's embedded in that is being made uh, at all. So, divine hiddenness is what is called the fact that we can't see the divine. We can't interact with it, at least not in the same way we interact with each other. So, Daniel here, this guy on the screen, if he watched this video that I'm doing right now, he could post a comment on the video. We could set up a time and day to interact with each other live on YouTube. That sort of interaction is not something I can set up with God. I cannot email God and say, hey, come to my channel, let's talk. If I did email God, I wouldn't get a response, even if God had an email address, which apparently it doesn't. So if I speak out loud to God or pray to God, whether it's out loud or in my head or both, I also will not get to be able to have God come onto my channel and talk to me live here on YouTube. That won't happen. No amount of believers in the world, no matter what God they believe in, could summon God to speak to any person, whether they're a skeptic or a believer, doesn't matter. God apparently will not do this for whatever reason you want to think that God's not going to do that. So that's the problem. The idea that, well, God could have put a cross in the sky or put words on the sky. Yeah, if that had existed for all time, yes, that would be incorporated into our beliefs, and it would be considered a natural phenomenon by some. But I don't really think that that's what they're saying. I think that what they're saying is it could be done right now. Like, it could be put up there, everybody could see it. It could be in every single language that's available because there's plenty of room in the sky to write. So it could say, hey guys, this is God. Here's how I work. Here's what I'm about. And say that in every language. And not just maybe appearing in the sky as letters. There's more that God could do to announce that it exists to humanity, but God apparently doesn't do that for whatever reason you want to believe that God doesn't do that. God is hidden. That's why it's called divine hiddenness. And there's reasons, I think, excuses, why God doesn't do this. Now, different religions offer different excuses for why God is so well hidden that it might as well not exist, but every religion has their reasons for it. And when you're a believer in that God, it makes sense that God is hidden to you. When you're not a believer, it doesn't make sense anymore. It's like, it's incoherent. The excuses, well, the reasons that offered now sound like excuses because, well, they are excuses. It's like, no, it's not an excuse, it's a reason. Yeah. It's like, well, if God showed itself to all of humanity at the same time and spoke to us in a way that we could all understand, you still wouldn't be convinced. I certainly would be more convinced than I am now, but I'd have questions for it. That's true. I'd have many questions, as would you. And this is another point that I don't think that you're fairly interacting with here, Daniel, is that if it turned out that the actual God was different than the God you believe in, would you not have many questions about that? Wouldn't you doubt it? Wouldn't you want it to prove that it's, actually this kind of God and not that kind of God? Like, say if it was the God of Zoroastrianism, very different type of God than Yahweh or Allah or other Western, monotheist. It is a monotheistic God, but it's a very different type of God because Zoroastrianism is a different sort of belief system. And so this God appears and it's just like, okay, guys, it's time to clarify the thing. Here's how I really work. If you do good things, you go to the good place. If you do bad stuff, you go to the bad place. And by the way, here's what good and bad are. It's just to give you some ideas. I'm the God of Zoroastrianism. You don't have to believe in me to get the good stuff or bad stuff. I don't really care if you believe in me or not. That's how I work. Thanks for listening. If you have questions, let me know. I'm pretty sure that all the believers in Christianity would be like, yeah, we have lots of questions. Because wouldn't they think that that was a false God? Because when I was a Christian, we were told to be aware of and be wary of false gods, false prophets coming. They will come to you in sheepskins, but they'll be wolves in sheep's clothing, right? Um, so if that appeared and everybody could see it, everybody confirmed that it was really there, the believer would be like, no, that's got to be a test. That's not the real God. That's a trick by the devil. That's a trick by demons. It's testing my faith. I'm going to believe in the actual God. That isn't the real God. And with Zoroastrianism, the Zoroastrian God would be like, that's fine. You don't need to believe in me. I don't care because it's your actions that I care about, not your beliefs. So just do good and you'll get to the good place. I don't care if you believe in me or not. So maybe it wouldn't even bother to try to prove itself to you because of that. But then you would still be in this position of saying that despite the evidence that you have of the Zoroastrian God, that you're going to disbelieve in it because you believe that it's actually a test for, maybe it's a test from the real God, your God, uh, or maybe it's been put there by the devil to confuse us, and we have to overcome it and not believe that it's real because the real God is still there and just waiting for us to realize this and make it past this test or whatever, so that when you die you'll join up with the actual real God. And then you die and you go, okay, here's paradise, and the Zoroastrian God is there, and you're like, well, this is still fake. This is still not the real afterlife because you're not the God I was expecting. I was expecting this God, and you're not that. So obviously, you can't be the real God. So, wouldn't that be the problem that the believer has to grapple with more than the skeptic? Because for the skeptic, I could be convinced that it was God. It's like, here's what I can do. Boom, boom, boom. Look, I'm doing it. And be like, okay, I guess you're God. I mean, whatever. I mean, maybe at some level in my brain, I need more to convince me. I don't know. But then couldn't it provide everything that I could possibly want to actually convince me that it was God? But why would it care? Like, maybe it doesn't care that I believe in it. I don't know. It depends what God is like. But who knows? Because even if there's a God, it didn't tell us anything about it. Or to say it a different way, the way that it chose to tell us anything about it was identical to the methodology that every other God that isn't real also used as well. So humans said they interacted with God in different ways over time. People communicated that with other humans. Some humans wrote down that, and other humans believed that that was true. That's the way it goes in like every religion out there, just about. There's a very few religions. Well, I don't know how many religions out there that don't have writings at all and just keep an oral tradition. Um, but nonetheless, the communication of the idea is what keeps the idea going. If we got rid of every single Bible and everybody just stopped talking about God, the God Yahweh at any rate, for a couple generations, that belief would just vanish. There wouldn't be any more Yahweh at all. So that's a problem for you guys. That if your book went away, if the religion went silent for a long enough time, probably a generation, maybe two, then that would be it. That religion would be gone, and something like it might be created anew, but its exact thing probably wouldn't be. I mean, that the chances of that are very, very, very low. But maybe somebody would create something like it. I mean, that's possible, I suppose, but it would be gone because the idea is contained only through tradition and um, transmission of the idea to other humans. If there's a God, it's remaining absolutely silent to humans. So, although I do agree that if your interpretation of the idea of cross and words in the sky is correct, that you're right, you falsified it in this video, I also think that you have covered a straw man of the issue at hand when it comes to divine hiddenness. God is so well hidden that whatever God actually is also hidden to you as a believer. You have to believe in a certain type of God being the actual God. And even if presented with evidence to the contrary, you might still choose to believe that your God is the actual God because you're being tested or some other reasons. So the skeptic is going to have questions. The believer is going to have questions. I think we'd all have questions. Unless it turns out to be your particular type of God, then you won't have any questions about it, but others will. And that's a good thing because we should question it. I can interact with Daniel, hypothetically speaking. Of course, he'd want to have to interact with me, and whether he does or not, who knows? I posted, hey, I made a video response, calmly responding to the Daniel Apologetics. Go check it out and respond to it, please. And we'll see if he responds or not. I don't know. But that's up to him. But at least he is there to respond to me. This guy, this person come in chat. Runtus? Gonna say Runtus. The bell is now working. Yeah, now the bell's working on YouTube. Yeah, YouTube doesn't know when the bell is broken or not. I don't know. But I could interact with that person and they could interact back. I can type hi and they might type something in response. But I do that with God and I get zero response. I can write the word hi, God, and nothing happens. No response. You could the pencil could start levitating and write out hi deconverted man. Of course I wouldn't say deconverted man, I'd say my real name. And how are you doing? I'm like, oh my goodness, what's going on? I mean, it'd be pretty convincing at some level. Of course I wouldn't want it just be me that could see this happening. I'd have to record it, but God could hypothetically do this if God can do any of those things in the first place, which, depending on the version of God, will change. Like some people posit a God that cannot perform functions in this world at all. Others propose that God can do anything that is logically coherent. Some propose that God can do even the logically incoherent things. So in the case where God can do X, Y, and Z, and yet decides not to, it means that the information about God is not coming from God, but from some other source. And the only other source that we know for sure exists that can communicate ideas is humans. So we know that there are, what, 44,000 plus different religions and countless more God concepts out there. There's been gods lost to time, different ideas, different names, different words, different versions of this have been out there that certain people believed in at certain times. Zeus was believed in at some time. Um, and then some people were deified into gods. Certain emperors were deified as gods. Caesar was deified as a god at one point, although that didn't seem to last very long. Um, so, whatever the god concept or whatever the concept is, Scientology has a whole lot of concepts that are bonkers. And yeah, they are bonkers, but that's because you don't believe in them. That I mentioned the secret space society. I still need to do a video on that, or I don't know what to do with it. But people believe that they were sent into outer space to do this war with aliens and all this other stuff, and it's nonsense. But if you believe in it, it's not nonsense to you because you think it's really true. I've seen people post videos of magic tricks claiming that those are demonic uh possessions happening. And it's like, no, that's just a magic trick. It's just sleight of hand. There's nothing demonic going on. No, it's demons manifesting their powers. Blah. It's like, no, that's not what it is. Um, there's this one guy that had been on YouTube a while that I'd see post like every day. He would go outside. He would pray for God to reveal itself in the clouds. He'd go outside and be like, look, I can sort of see this thing that proves God. And that would be like every video he did. It was the same, pretty much the same video. And it wouldn't matter what he saw in the sky. He would claim it was evidence of God. So when you're looking for the evidence, you will find it everywhere. When you're looking to disprove it, you will only find it if it actually is true. So if I try to disprove that my computer exists, well, I can't do it because, well, it's there. It's actually there for real. And when I run up against all the evidence for my computer, I have to conclude that it's really actually there. If you try to disprove God, you quickly find that there really isn't much there to go on. You've got what? Personal experience of a deity? Other people of other religions have that too. So that can't be evidence. You've got a holy book. So what? Other religions have that too. Was your holy book written by God? No. Some religions claim their holy book was written by God or a deity of some sort. Like Mormonism has their golden tablets were delivered to them by an angel. So that's more directly linked to a God than the Bible is. So the Bible is claimed to be inspired by God or whatever. It's like, yeah, well, that's nice. It's still humans. And that's all it has been is humans, and all it continues to be is humans saying that there's a God, and the skeptics like myself saying we would really like you to prove that, but you can't. And that's really not your fault, because if there is a God, it is not proving itself to humanity, and it could by writing in the sky, "Hey, I exist." But it could do more than that. It should do more than that. We should expect more from it than that. But it doesn't even do that. It doesn't do anything at all. So that's why we don't believe in it. Supposedly, according to Christians, I can have a relationship with Christ. But the term relationship means, to me, being able to communicate back and forth. But when I do that to God, I go, "Hi, God," and I get no response. That's not a relationship. I might as well write Santa Claus, and because I'm not going to get a response from Santa Claus. There's a relationship, I guess. I'm spending a lot of time and energy on it. Same thing. Wait, what? The tree is proof of God because ducks float on water, which are heavier than wood. So if a woman's heavier than a duck, she is a witch, right? Yes, exactly. From Monty Python's Holy Grail, right? Yeah. If there was a head in the sky that talked to us, and said it was God, yeah, the skeptics would be skeptical about it, and we'd ask questions. But you would as well, because your God isn't supposed to be a floating head in the sky. You would have questions about it as well. So I think that, Daniel, when you said you had other videos about divine hiddenness, and I'm sure they say similar things, they probably give your excuses, which you view as reasons why God is so well hidden, probably, well, free will or whatever, all this other stuff that I've heard, and none of it washes very well, because the free will thing doesn't work. Angels supposedly see God all the time, yet they could reject God, and then if they do that, they become demons or fallen angels. So they have access to information I don't. Why? Well, because, more reasons. You have to come up with different reasons there. Because, like, angels have free will. They can see God. I can't. Well, it would, whatever. If you saw God, you would go blind. Okay. And so, couldn't God heal me from the blindness? Isn't it God? Like, couldn't God give me sunglasses that would protect me from going blind by seeing God? I mean, it really just it doesn't work for me. So I talked a lot about this video and without playing this video, because I pretty much agree with the video if it wasn't a straw man. I think it is a straw man, so I don't really agree with it. But I don't really have much else to say about it. But this is my open invitation to Daniel Apologetics. Hey, come and talk to me about this. Without making, well, I guess again you would say that they're reasons. I might call them excuses. But why is God hidden? It seems silly to me. It seems ridiculous, especially if you're going to claim that God wants a relationship with me. Humanity, last poll I had about it, is about 33% of humanity believes in Christianity. And so that's not very good. God didn't do a very good job there, did it? Like, shouldn't it be all of humanity that believes in it? But it's not. So apparently getting us to believe in it is actually the thing it's after. It's not after a relationship with us, because a relationship will require communication and a two-way street, unless we're equivocating what the word relationship means. So I don't know. Well, let's see, Scott, just for fun, let's see if there's anything else worth responding to off the question. One question to ask a non-Christian. Oh, this looks great. Let's check that out.
In this video, I'm going to share with you one question that Christians can ask non-Christians when wanting to plant seeds and evangelize. I could mention more than just this one question, but the reason I'm going in this video with this one particular question is because this one brings some advantages to the table that not all questions Christians can ask a non-believer does. So let's get to it. Before I lay out the question, let me just very quickly explain why I went for specifically this one.
Now, get to the question!
When talking about the big questions in life, as well as strangers in the street, when asking them, don't you agree?
Okay.
Why does it fail?
All right. Come on. All right. So is this the question you're asking?
Is, what do you think is the best argument for that Christianity is true? And why does it fail?
Okay, well, my answer is none. All your arguments suck. They're all broken. Fix them. I can't say I've looked at them all because I don't know that. But I've looked at many, and every single one so far has a logical fallacy. They fail because of the logical fallacies. So there is no best argument or evidence at all for your belief system. That's my answer. I don't think there's more to say about that video. Okay. Anyways, all right. Let's see if this guy responds to me. Who wants to take bets on whether or not he'll respond to me? See you later when he doesn't respond to me. Yay.